really like this image of the Thousand Sunny and the Going Merry from One Piece for a multitude of reasons, and I want to share those reasons with you in today's video. If you're unaware or if you're new to this channel, I give you real life examples from animes and or just other stories that I've come in contact with to help you make more money, be more confident, and hopefully maybe even get a girlfriend or just improve your life in general so that you aren't just having to sit at home binge watching anime and feeling ashamed for yourself after doing that all day. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can subscribe to the channel for more. With the image that you see on screen with the Thousand Sunny and the Going Merry, it's really cool being able to identify this said thing because maybe you yourself have been able to pick up on this in some way, shape, or form. It's all about the memory. Like whenever something goes, whenever something disappears, like maybe you have a pet, maybe you have a family member, maybe you had friends that you've lost in your life, they still remain with you because you are them and the memory will always be with you until you die. And at that point in time, those memories that you had of that person or until you pass on or until you move forward in some way, shape, or form, those things will always be presented. And this is where I say, like, regardless of where you're at, you always need to find those people that are interested in the things that you're interested in and or being able to pick up on those past memories, those past experiences, and you can recall upon them at any point in time. Like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other night at the gym, and we were talking about how basically we are kind of like computers in a sense, or like how, like, what does AI do when AI like just goes out of the blue? Don't worry, this will still circle into like One Piece and everything like that. You just have to understand this as a little bit of a background. So the AI apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, I didn't look at it, but like the way that he said it, it made it seem logical, and I feel like we as humans do this as well too. Like when we aren't programmed with the test, when we don't have something working on any way, shape, or form, we can't identify what needs to be done, and we'll just be thinking about something else. Like he was telling me about the AI, how like it's just thinking about being a butterfly or something like that. Then when it needs to come online, it's just like, okay, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's what I can help you out with. And I'm under the same impression that we as humans can do the exact same thing, because a lot of the time throughout your whole day, maybe you're thinking about these other things or you aren't thinking at all until you need that said thing to happen to you. So like with me making these videos, like I'm offline in a certain sense. Maybe I'm doing a little bit of research, maybe I'm doing a little bit of background, maybe I'm doing a little bit of like insights and like meditation and like trying to figure out the best ways to frame these things for you in the best way that makes sense. There's a small little weird thing that's happening to me right now that I'm going to share with you. So like it's a past memory, it's a past experience. I was looking through my emails this morning and it came up to like this other person that I was working at for the company that I was at beforehand, before I was like, let me go off and do my own thing so that I can coach you and guide you to unlock all these different avenues and these different routes so you don't have to be in the same place that you were in at right now, so that then you can dwell and maybe not even dwell, but recall the memories that you need to recall in the moments that you need to recall them. And you don't always have to look back at the past. You can always start looking forward to the future as well too, because time's non-linear, as I've talked about on different occasions. When I saw the post this morning, it made me a little upset. Like it made me a little like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like I don't want to have this feeling anymore. But then there's also this other part where it's like, hey, I'm proud of that person for doing that said thing, because I made the decision to leave. I made the decision to go out on my own. I made the decision to like start up my own thing and like make a bet on myself because I have the monetary means to do so. So I was able to recall that said experience in the present moment now. So like the experience never left me. It's just a matter of like, how do I reframe this thing to make it so that I am in a more happy state? And I'm going to get back to the thing that I was talking to about the ability to recall certain ideas. So just bear with me for that as well too. So basically, I'm able to recall the feeling that I felt when I was at that company, and the joy and the fulfillment and the happiness and like the overall achievements that I had because I was able to be a part of like a community or a group of people that finally understood and supported me in the ways that I wanted to be supported in. And this is why, like, if you're into sales or if you're into like making money in some way, shape, or form, the reason why salespeople get paid so well compared to like other people, because maybe you're like, I need a job, I need something that's going to pay me very well. The reason why they have that is because they have thick skin. They can handle rejection over and over and over again, because sales is a numbers game. You're going to get rejected a lot. And if you're able to recall on like, say, your wins over your losses, you're going to win a lot more. But if you're always focused on the losses of those past experiences of those bad times, you're never going to have that, say, forward momentum and want to continue moving forward, because you'll be like, oh, this is miserable. I hate this. Everybody always tells me no. But if you reframe it and you're like, hey, you know what? Remember all those successful times when I closed this deal, this deal, this deal, this deal. Remember when I got the promotion, and you remember those things, things, then all of a sudden your brain is going to be like, yeah, I do remember those things, because we're always doing things that are benefiting us in this specific term. And that's why what I was talking about with those AI conversations and how we are basically brought online to remember these certain memories at the certain time, it's because we can only ever identify and think one thought and have one conversation at one point in time. Sure, we can bounce back from like maybe writing to listening to reading to watching to observing to any sort of idea, but like we can never truly be focused on two things at once. We can never have two thoughts at the same time. You can never have two conversations at the same time. You can bounce from conversation A to conversation B, which I do that a lot of the times if I'm having multiple different conversations in the room. Like I can be chatting with you, then I can go over to this other idea and I can pick up on this, because it's like maybe I'm just changing tabs on the computer, or I'm going from watching like one anime to the other, back to the other anime, back to the other anime, because you can't watch two different animes at the exact same time. It just doesn't work. And this is why people that watch shows or movies when like they're doing homework or when they are getting some sort of studying done or reading, I'm like, I don't know how you guys do that, because that's just like a distraction. They're like, oh, it calms me. But I'm like, if you just shut all of that noise down and maybe just had some like normal background noise, maybe some hand pan music that I've done in the past, or maybe some piano music that doesn't have any lyrics, that isn't necessarily a distraction. It's more of just like ways to fill the background, kind of like going out into nature and hearing the birds chirp, or hearing the water on the oceans like sway and everything like that. Like it's just background noise, but it's not really distracting you. But if you have like an actual show that's going on that you need to identify your attention with, you're not going to be able to bounce back and forth with those two things. Which is why I say like you can do this while you're on a walk, listening to these types of things if that's what you want to do. And that's what I was telling him, was like you can only have one conversation at one time. You can only focus on one person, one aspect, one anime, one show, one memory at a specific time. And that's where I say like Luffy and the rest of his crew, they are able to identify and remember like the Going Merry, because they remember like the memories that they shared with it. So the Merry will always be alive within them, even if that's not the ship that they're always on now. Because sometimes we have to be willing to let go of the past to be able to move forward. Yet the past is also something that does define us, but it doesn't have to define us in the way that it always has, because you can reframe the past in a more positive way and realize that the past can actually be something that benefits you in the long run compared to something that is hindering you for your growth. Because I always had thought that like anime was something that was hindering my growth. That was making it so that I wasn't able to progress forward, when in actuality, it isn't. It's helping me inspire you right now listening to this video, and I know you know that I'm talking to you, and that's the great part, is it's inspiring you to go look at the world from a different point of view. Inspiring you to realize that like, I can't only think one thought at one time. I can't only have one conversation at once. Maybe I need to stop distracting myself with this other noise while I'm trying to study, or while I'm trying to read, or while I'm trying to watch an anime. Maybe I don't just need to have background noise on. Maybe I can start to become more comfortable within my own self. And those memories that do come up, I can start to change them and make them more pleasant, compared to them having to be like this dread or this negative memory that I have. And that's why I say like me at the sales job, like it was great. Me having that ability to be able to see through or identify like, hey, I'm happy for this person. Well, at the same time, it's like I had to go out and I needed to try my own thing. I wanted to be able to have more of an impact on the people that I wanted to have an impact on, compared to just like, don't get me wrong, like I still am making lots of money and I want to make lots of money in the process of being able to help you, just as I would like for you to do the same thing, because we live in a society that we have to have monetary compensation to be able to keep moving forward. And my whole thing is like, by working with me, you might not see the benefits or the returns like instantly. Like the Going Merry was on the sea, and for our journey for, I believe it was almost like 500 episodes. It wasn't 500, around like 400 episodes or so, which was that whole journey was the great part for them on that expedition. So like I may only be in your life for a certain period of time until you no longer need me, and then you can go off and you can find somebody else that is able to serve you in a better way. I'm just one stepping stone. I'm just one ship in your whole process. I'm just one mentor. I'm just one guide. I'm just one teacher on your whole journey to be able to become free. And then you can always come back to these certain stories and recall these certain memories whenever you need to recall them in a conversation that maybe you're having with a friend of yours. You're like, hey, I found this guy on YouTube and he was talking about this way that like I can only think one thing at once. Like, what do you think about this? And your friend might be like, that's kind of crazy, but yeah, that is kind of true. Like, and then all of a sudden we start to create a ripple effect and we start to get a lot more people involved than we're originally involved in. Because like I've touched on this a couple of times before as well too, but I figure I might as well touch on it right now. You can only ever think one thing. And when you're at this specific place, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're watching an anime, maybe you're laying in bed, maybe you are on a walk, if that's something that you do, and you're thinking about all these other things instead of being in the present moment, because that's what our brains do. Our brains will go back to the past, and most of the times our brain seems to dwell on the negative. aspects. And that's where I say, like, and I want to challenge you with this for this next week that you have going on, is primarily only think positive thoughts. Only think about times where you have won, where you have felt joyous, where you have felt happy, where you have felt accomplished, where you have felt confident, where you have felt convicted, where you have felt clear, where you have been in those states that have been absolutely wonderful and amazing. Don't think about the times, and I know the reason why I say this is because I'm guilty of doing this from time to time as well, because I'm only human like you guys. I'm just helping you get up to the state to where I'm at right now so that you don't have to go through the same shortcomings that I had to go through, and you can you can accelerate your process in new ways. Because I have had times where I have made myself feel guilty for not doing the things that I needed to do, or for like not wanting to go back because I remember these bad experiences, which obviously, yes, don't discredit those things. Like, those things did happen because they needed to happen. While at the same time, remember that you can move on, that you can let go, and you can continue moving forward in a more positive direction. Because, like, sure, the Straw Hats crew, they could have been sad and dwelt on like the Mary, and they could have just been like, we're just going to stay in Annie's lobby for the rest of our adventures. But it's like, no, we got this new ship, and we're going to take as much care of this new ship that we took care of the Going Merry, and we're going to create new adventures. We're going to create a new story. We're going to create this new life that is going to be one of joy, that's going to be one of confidence, that's going to be even more exciting and adventurous than the life that we had beforehand. And sometimes that requires letting those past experiences go. Sometimes that requires letting those past memories burn up in flames. And this is where I say, like, those memories never truly leave you, because you can always recall those memories. You can always go back and have that same feeling of like remembering what we were like back then. And the great part about that is you can still feel those things, along with being able to create new experiences, new memories, new stories, new individuals, new connections that you wouldn't have originally been able to make beforehand. And the only way that I've been able to find to do this, and the reason why I'm sharing this with you right now, is because it takes time, it takes practice, it takes repetition. And a lot of the times we might not necessarily want to put in those reps because we aren't sure that it's going to reap the outcome that we're wanting it to reap. And that's where I say, like, you don't do it because you're hoping for it to like get this said outcome. You do it because you just genuinely love doing it. Like Luffy, he just genuinely loves going on the adventures and like traveling and like being able to recall on those past memories. If he never finds the One Piece, so be it. Like, he'd still be happy and he'd die a happy man. Just as I myself, like, I love working out. I love making these videos. Sure, there has been times when I have made these videos and it's been frustrating. It's like, oh, I only get 14 views, but then I've been watching these other people that have like 4 views or something like that. I'm like, wow, that was a very impactful video that I just watched. I'm like, how does this video not have more views? And that's the crazy part, is because sometimes like you just have to get through like the weeds of it in the beginning to find the depths of it. Because sometimes, like, you may have noticed this, is like it takes some time for me to get going, but once I'm going, like it's up and ready, which is fantastic. And some people, they discredit that because they'll just click off of it because they don't have the attention span that you have. And if you have a good attention span, if you're able to identify these things and you're just doing it because you just genuinely enjoy doing it, and you set out a challenge to like go to the gym 5 days a week or something like that for 5 minutes, or you decide to set a challenge to make 120 pieces of content a month, or you decide to set a challenge on being able to climb the corporate ladder faster than anybody else ever had at the company, and then you go off and do that said thing. Or you decide to go get the One Piece. And like, if you just enjoy the journey and the process of creating these things, you'll be able to have a lot more joy and fulfillment through that process. And by being able to recall those past memories, like I was talking about, of like, this is how I felt when we were on this time, and now we're here, and I still have this same feel, I still have this same excitement, I still have this same overall joy and compassion and excitement and confidence that I had back then all of a sudden you're going to free up your new avenues, you're going to free up different ways of thinking, you're going to free up your new neural pathways to be able to create something that was never created in the first place, and then possibly even inspire some people along that journey, along that path. And if you want to have some help on being able to reframe and being able to identify like what thoughts you need to be thinking, or like how you can only think one thought at one time, then book a call down below and we'll work something out and we'll have a conversation. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video.